Welcome everyone to this Hyvä Meetup number 3. Today's topic is extensions. And if you've been at the previous Hyvä Meetups, we had one, or the last one was very much focused on showcases. And this time we actually want to focus more on the extensions in our Magento world or Hyva world. Yeah, let's see how we can bring you the content you need and spark discussions and talks that bring us all forward. And today I am also joined by my team, which is having my back here. You already saw that Andreas has been announcing some stuff in the chat, and Andrea is busy tweeting everything that happens here, and you're free to retweet everything or tweet on your own. And even if you don't see them, they're very much engaged and make sure that everything runs smoothly. And if you notice their names, or if you have any questions, you can direct them to them as well. And they make sure to get you some answers for this. And yeah, we're just here to make sure that the show runs on as smoothly as possible and that you can enjoy it. Also, what we are very happy to see here today are two speakers. We have Vinai Kopp, the technical director at Hyvä Themes, and Romain Roaud, the head of ElasticSuite. The two of them will have talks during this evening, and will give us some insights into the role of extensions from different perspectives. So if we're looking at the schedule, right now you're listening to the opening, and in about some 10 minutes, I'll hand over to Vinai for the extension compatibility talk. And afterwards, when Vinai is really done with this talk, we'll have probably some Q&A questions that you have that we want to have answered by Vinai. And then afterwards, there is the talk by Romain Roaud on the topic of making ElasticSuite compatible with Hyva. Why and how? Well, important questions. Again, afterwards, if you have any questions, you can post them and you'll get answers from Romain. And last point here on our schedule is the hangout part of this event. So we have a bit of a closing session here, still in the main session, and then afterwards we'll head over to the hangout corner, where there's a bit more of free discussion for you to join. And as you see, all these times are given in the Central European time zone, so they might be different for you depending on where you are today. There is the sponsor of today's event, that is Intergenet. You might have heard of us before as the main partner and co-creator of Hyva. Intergenet is very much engaged and very proud to be the sponsor of this event or this meetup. And of course, it's not just the sponsor that we are thankful to have, but very much our speakers that have taken the time to prepare today's talks and taken their evening as well to present it for you. That is very, very nice of them to see. And if you want to spread the word around Hyvä Meetup, it's the hashtag Hyvä Meetup. Feel free to do so on whatever channel or social network you use. If you're new to Hop In, you will see that there is actually different parts. So currently, if you're watching me now, you are in the main session. That is where all the very much official and important stuff happens. And this is the moderated part. So anyone who wants to present would have to ask for permission, and then I could grant it to them, and they would then be on stage. Where we have the hangout corner, that's a different session with some different rules that apply. So there is no recordings there and no moderation. So anyone who wants to join and share the video is welcome to do so. So that's basically an open mic session, an open camera and chat. Depends on what you want. Yeah, on the left-hand side, you see navigation between the reception area, the sessions, and then also networking. Coming to that in a second. And on the right-hand side, you have the chat, and also there should be something like a Q&A tab for your questions. The Q&A tab, yes, that actually allows us to make sure that we don't miss your questions. And I'm seeing this actually just in the sessions part on the right-hand side. But I think since we don't have too many sessions going on at the same time, and Andreas is here to have an eye on the chat, I'm very positive that we don't miss any of your questions. Okay. And if you do find your way to the Q&A tab, you can also upvote other people's questions just to make sure that they get a lot of attention. Okay, Hopin also allows for some networking. So if you feel like talking in a group isn't that much of your thing, you could head over to the networking tab. And if there's someone else like-minded and you both click on the join button, then you are basically matched for a one-to-one video call of 3 minutes. If it's going well and you've introduced yourselves and everything's running really nicely, you can both extend the session to have a couple more minutes for conversation, or you can say bye and head over to the next person to meet them. And well, as usual, there are some questions who come up that come up with any event. One of them is, will there be a Q&A? Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned that before. So after each of the presentations, we want to have a bit of a Q&A. So any of your questions that go directly to one speaker, we want to have then popping up. You can write them in the chat, and I'll make sure to read them out when the presentation is finished, so that the speaker has then the option to answer them, and we have them on the recording as well. Okay, recordings, yes. This main session will be recorded, and it will be published. Usually we're pretty fast, or Willem is pretty fast with that. So you can expect that in, well, the next couple of days at the latest. Yeah, unless anything goes horribly wrong, but we don't expect that. Okay, this is an online event, and along with this kind of online spirit, it might be somewhat difficult to engage. So here are some tips from us. Well, basically, just act like a decent human being. We're welcoming to others. We are respectful and collaborative. We want to actually have a community work together, as we'll see with the results of today's in the presentations as well, that this is very, very successful. And yeah, just basically be your friendly self. I know that there is one in you, and we also look out for each other. So we respect each other, in short. And now I see that he is already in the queue to step on stage. I would like you all to help me welcome our first speaker, Vinai. We all know him as, well, first of all, an engaged community member. Second of all, a skillful trainer and developer, and training developer, and an avid runner. And also the kind and considerate person who seems to be always available when someone has a question about a module compatibility on the Hyva Slack. So, Vinai, we're very happy to have you here today and to talk about module compatibility.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll stop my screen sharing, I'll mute myself and step off stage, and the stage is yours.
I've never felt this much like on a real stage in an online presentation. So thank you for this experience. This is great. Yeah. So thanks for being here, everybody. I will do my very best to, so what I want to give you after this talk, I want you to know exactly what is the current state of things in regards to Hyva and module compatibility. So, which modules are compatible, where can you check which ones they are, a little bit of information about what it takes to make a module compatible, and also what we've got planned down the road, right? So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into the technical road or, more of a high-level business road. So your questions hopefully will lead this into the direction that you're interested in later on. Yeah, but still, this is a meetup, so this is actually not. I will be doing this without slides, so this is something new, and I hope this will work out well, because without slides, I have to say I feel a lot more present. Right? I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not distracted in a way. I'm just here trying to really transmit the information. So yeah, I hope you like this. So it was kind of funny earlier when Sonja started this presentation here and started inviting people. There was this moment when Sonja said, and Sonja did a great job, but there was this one moment, where she said, yeah, we'll be talking about compatibility modules and Hyva. And then she did this big, deep sigh, like, oh. I was like, oh, no, okay, this is a great start. Okay, we gotta, because, but she turned it all around. So I'm sure it was something else going on in the background, and I'm gonna do my best to make this interesting, even though it might sound like a little bit of a dry topic. So the reason why I think it's not a dry topic is because extensions are part of the core value propositions of Magento, right? And they have been for over 10 years, and so many companies create them. And it's not just the extension vendors themselves. It's also in-house merchants, developers for merchants, right? They also create extensions that just run on one store usually, and integrate third-party services or add some customizations. But there's also all the agencies. Almost every agency that I've worked with over the years has an in-house pool of extensions. So many of them provide these extensions in some kind of pre-configured starter kit. They work well with each other. So when a customer project is started, most of the extensions that make sense for a given merchant are integrated into the project straight away, right? And they've been working like this for many years, probably. So the question is, what happens now with Hyva? Because as probably, if you're here, you're already aware of that Hyva replaces the front-end stack of Luma. So all the styles and the JavaScript, most importantly. And it also cleans up the layout XML and the general DOM structure and everything. But it's a fact that you can't just take a Luma module that uses require.js and knockout and jQuery and underscore and moment.js and a ton of all these homegrown Magento libraries and all that stuff, right? And you can't just put it into Hyva and expect it to work on the front end. It doesn't. So either nothing happens, that's one possibility, or you get an error on the browser console, something like requires not defined, right? That's the typical place to start. And to be honest, many people are lost at that point in time. And that is something I want to change. I want to make the process of making modules compatible with Hyva as comfortable as walking down a nice paved road, well lit, secure, comfortable, easy. So that's my goal that I want to do, because again, I really believe in the power of the flexibility of the Magento platform and the whole extension ecosystem there. So, by the way, this idea of a paved road is something that I like a lot. That's something I stole from presentation on platform development platform development and platform developer experience I saw a few days ago. That was actually really good. And I thought, okay, I'll take that idea and apply it to my approach, as an image, how I want the experience to be working with Hyva. The tricky thing there is, of course, starting out, many people, people don't start at the same point. Some people have years and years of experiences developing all kinds of different languages. Some people have maybe only a bit of PHP experience. Some people know React and always have been working with Babel, but never worked with plain JavaScript. Some people have only worked with plain JavaScript. So there's a huge wide variety of people. And of course, regardless of where somebody steps onto the road, I really want to make it easy for everybody. Right. This in itself is a road that needs to be paved, right? So at the moment, we already have a lot of material that I'll be showing you to make this more comfortable, but there's areas to improve. So if anybody is writing compatibility modules and feels stuck, one of the best things you can do is reach out and let us know if there's anything that specific that you're missing, any questions. I really try to make this as pleasurable as possible. So first of all, I would like to give a big shout out to all the extension vendors who already made their extensions compatible with Hyva, because that's great. And you are basically the early adopters. I know some of you from these companies are here, and I really appreciate you working with us there and that you see the economic opportunity of investing into Hyva compatibility there. So one of the very first, by the way, this here is the Hyvä Compatibility module tracker. It's public. And just in case, my guess is you probably know about this, but I'll drop the link in the chat here anyway. It's pretty easy to find otherwise. So this compatibility tracker lists all the modules. And when somebody wants to use a specific module, this is probably the best place to look first of all. And we have sorted these tickets, basically. Each module is represented by a ticket with labels. So here in this open column, you can see extensions somebody at one point in time wanted to use, but they weren't compatible yet. And then there are a few where people said, okay, we're going to make them compatible. That's like a commitment, but it's not yet in progress. That would be the accepted tab. Then there's the in progress column. So that's all of the extensions that currently people are working on, making them compatible. And then we have the list of published extensions. So these are extensions that work with Hyva with the help of a compatibility module. So a compatibility module, in effect, is a module that's installed together with the original module, and it makes the front end, so the templates and JavaScript and the styling, work inside of Luma. Replaces the Luma stuff and makes it work inside of Hyva. Sorry. Right, so all of these work already. And one of the very earliest adapters here actually was Ravi from Red Champs. Here. So they are offering all of their extensions, as you can see here, compatible out of the box. So you don't even need a compatibility extension. So that's super awesome. They all just work. And Jajuma also was one of the very first who made their extensions compatible. So thanks for that. Both of them, great stuff. And we now just announced a partnership with MageWorks. And I know Edward's here, and he's just been making one module after the other compatible. So that's super cool. I'm really impressed by the speed that he's been delivering there. So that's great. So thank you. And there are more. There's a WebCool and a TweakWise. And it doesn't matter whether it's a single extension or if there are many extensions. All of them really enrich the whole ecosystem. So that's super cool. We have a bunch of extension payment providers that are compatible. MultiSafePay was the first to make them their module compatible, also with the Hyva React checkout. And Adyen are working on compatibility in Buckaroo, for example. So more are being added all the time. So probably
Vinai?
the first step is to go here. Yeah. I'm not sharing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you wanted to.
I wanted to. So,
All right.
Yeah, I just switched over here, right? And
yes.
So this is this compatibility module tracker.
Have
Oh
you
man,
gone?
give me a moment to get over this.
No worries. I mean, these are all adults. They know how to open a link and how to use filters.
That's true. So yeah, I actually wanted all of you to just go ahead, open the link, and not watch me anymore.
Okay.
So anyway,
enjoy the stage.
Search up here. Yeah, thanks for letting me know here. Honestly, that's super good. And it's the nerves, right? When I'm talking, it's sometimes easy to forget something important like this, because I'm feeling so much on a stage where I wouldn't need to do this. So anyway, here we have the compatibility models from Redchamps, Juma, etc., and the others. I won't go through looking at all of them again, but this is the first place to get started. Very good. Okay. What else? So this list of extensions is growing all the time. And if you start working on making a module compatible, please let me know or let Willem know, or maybe some of the others from the Hyvä team if we, for some reason, if we're not around, and we'll create a ticket, or even better, you create the ticket, and then we'll just add the labels, because that's something only we can do. The nice thing if you add tickets is you can actually, and I just want to see if there's a nice example somewhere, you can add features to the list here so people can see which parts of a module are compatible and which ones aren't. I don't know, let's see, what about this one here? Well, it just does one thing, and that's pretty good, but sometimes you will see more complex extensions have many features to be implemented, and only some of them are. Because usually what people do is they just implement those features, make only those features compatible that are required for a given project. So chances are maybe only some features are implemented, and in that case, if those are the ones you need, great. And if you need additional ones, just continue extending and building on top of the work others already have done, and start adding compatibility for the other features that you still require there. All right. Now, how do we go ahead building these modules? Well, first of all, we've got documentation. There's quite a lot in the meantime. We just made the docs public. They're at docs.hyva.io. And I really believe that documentation and good examples are a big part of trying to make developing extensions for Hyva comfortable, right? So it starts with getting started, how to generate how basic approach, how do you build a theme? That's maybe not that applicable for compatibility modules though. Generating styles, working with Alpine.js, general Hyva writing code logic that's applicable to everything, whether you're writing a compatibility module or a theme. And then we've got a whole section here only on creating compatibility extensions, right? So quite a few pages here. And if you really, I really try that you can start at the beginning, get an understanding of, okay, we assume you know this stuff, and useful tools you might want to install. How can you get started getting a skeleton compatibility module that you can build upon, the naming conventions we use, how to clone the repository, different ways to approach that. So we really try to take you at the hand and lead you through the process of building this. All right. One of the most important features of creating compatibility modules are the automatic template overrides. So this is a feature where if you have an original module, so for example, the last compatibility module that I worked on was the rich banner slider from Headworks here. And here there's a template in the original module, block PHTML. Okay. And in the compatibility module that I created for this, I placed a template with the same name in the same location. So straight in the templates folder, block PHTML, right? So all compatibility modules automatically enable a feature called automatic template overrides, where if the same template exists in a compatibility module for that original module, the template from the compatibility module will be used if a Hyvä theme is active. Right? No further work is necessary. So to start, what I usually do is I just take this file, copy it over, and then start adjusting the JavaScript and the styles as needed. And this feature is enabled through a bit of the XML configuration that's already present by default when a skeleton module is generated. So that's why it's usually a good idea to start by requesting a skeleton compatibility module from anybody of the Hyvä theme, but probably me, because I'm just the most into this topic at this time, right? But it's a little scripty render, and then you can clone this repository and start working from there. All right, so we've got a lot of documentation, but maybe that's not enough. So the next thing we have, and that's new, we just made this public today. Right? We haven't announced it yet. We gave a preview to some people in the Hyvä Slack so far, but now this is public. This is a playlist, and I'll just copy the link here into the chat too. So here. So here I recorded the process of creating a compatibility module. Of course, every module is different. Some modules use a lot of JavaScript, some use very little. Some use mainly jQuery UI components, some maybe use more Knockout.js or maybe vanilla JavaScript, or every module is different. Every developer has a different style of working. Some use a lot of section data, some use next to none. Anyway, point being, this is just one example. So what I tried to do is really start at the beginning with setting up a dev environment that's suitable for compatibility module development. It's installing Hyva, setting up a reference store, how to run stuff in PHP Storm. But at one point in time, all these prerequisites or little stuff you can do up front is done, and that most of them are pretty short videos, as you can see here. And then it starts with, okay, let's have a look at the original module. And sometimes I make mistakes. I just recorded this here, but maybe it'll give you a good idea of what it means to make a module compatible. Right? So at the moment, basic compatibility exists for this extension, and it's this rich banner extension actually that I just showed there, and it uses a lot of jQuery. I'm still looking for a good module that uses section data, which isn't used at all in this one, for example. So maybe in future, if you have a good candidate, let us know, and we'll try to also record videos on that. So hopefully this will be helpful. It's just screen recordings of me building a compatibility module. Right, so that's also there. Yeah, we really have a lot of utilities available that people can use when making modules compatible. And we really try to educate people about them, but it's sometimes easy to miss that they exist. So for example, one of the things we also actually just published today are the payment icons. This is an extension. You can depend on it in your extensions composer JSON if that's something you need, right here. And it allows using a bunch of SVG icons of payment providers that somebody open sourced, thankfully. So right here, let me just load this Figma. It's taking its time. There we go. So we have light payment icons, dark payment icons, and monochrome payment icons. And this can be used by extensions just as well. And out of the box, Hyva already comes with all hero icons, and they're super simple to use. So what that means is, if you want to know how to use them, you can use the docs and just search for icons, for example, and you'll see how to use them with a PHP view model, or, it's all documented. I won't go into the details right now. But these kind of little tools, we have a lot of them. So it's really worth digging in a bit and figuring out what's all available. And hopefully this will make your life a lot easier. Right, what else have we got? We have the Slack support. Please feel free to ask questions. Sometimes I get DMs, but I would really like to encourage you to ask in a public channel because I'm not always available. And if somebody else reads your question, other people answer too, and oftentimes with better answers than I am able to give. And also other people can learn from it. So that's why it's a good idea to ask questions. Everybody has questions, everybody makes mistakes, so it's a good idea just to ask there. And I read every message, so sending a direct message doesn't make a difference in that regard. What else? Yeah, we have a lot planned where we're going from here. And let me stop sharing my screen here, actually. Good. So what we're doing next is we want to add the ability. So now I feel like I should share my screen again and show you, but okay, maybe not. So when building a theme's styles, so running Tailwind CSS, right? You run the command npm run build and then prod, for example, or watch during development, and it will generate the CSS styles depending on which classes you use in your templates. So far, if a compatibility module is installed, there's a manual step after installing it that needs to be taken care of, which is adding the path, the file system path, to the compatibility module, adding that into the theme configuration for Tailwind, the Tailwind config.js file, in the purge config, right? And then the next time you build your CSS, the classes from the compatibility module will also be seen and added to the generated styles. So the next thing that we're doing is we're adding a feature, I'm pretty sure it'll be in the next release that we're doing, that extensions and modules can already basically add themselves to the Tailwind purge config. So after installing a compatibility module, no additional work is necessary. And I'm super excited about this. I want to go through all compatibility modules myself and add this little feature. So they all just work. Just install an extension and you can rebuild your theme and don't have to do anything else. And in fact, it's not only possible to create, a configuration that adds your extension to the configuration that gets used, which templates are evaluated. But what we are doing is we will allow extensions to add any Tailwind configuration. And they all get merged together, and the theme config has the highest priority. So I think this will make life of extension developers a lot easier. So that's coming really soon. And the next thing that we're doing is also adding a similar feature in regards to CSS. So it's less manual work, less copy and paste, and more it just works. So yeah, that's right around the corner. Another thing that we're doing is we will be adding a cart page with server-side rendering. So this is something that we're also super excited about, which will, and this is something that will live side by side with the current cart page that uses GraphQL mainly and JavaScript to render the contents. And both have their place. And the way we're going to do it is, first of all, we are going to add the new cart as a module that can be installed. And then we'll gather some feedback, see how people use it. But probably at some point in time, we will integrate it into the Hyvä theme and then make the current checkout a extension that can be installed. So we don't want to break anybody's site or efforts. We have a big focus on backward compatibility. Customizations for the server-side rendered cart are different from customizations for the GraphQL cart, but both can be present in the same module, first of all. And if you know me, you know that I really value backward compatibility. I got in a lot of arguments over the years. I believe we should never throw code away. We should always keep it and just develop new things side by side that can live side by side, so nothing breaks, right? Because nobody feels like doing work without getting any benefit from it, just making stuff compatible so it continues to work as before. That shouldn't be any work. It should just work. So anyway, yeah, so that's coming. We're building this new cart. I'm really excited about that. And the next thing that we're doing is focusing on commerce compatibility. And we already started with this. This is something that we will very soon also involve many partners that we are working with who already have built and are building commerce sites. So I just made, for example, the gift card module and the customer balance module for Adobe Commerce compatible to Hyva. And yeah, we'll continue that until we have probably all relevant features covered. I'm hesitant to say all features because, to be honest, I'm not even sure if I know all features, but yeah, we'll go very far from there. So yeah, that's what's coming up. So now would be a good time for questions, maybe. I'm not sure. I thought up front maybe I can end with a joke, but I don't really have any jokes that are suitable for sharing on a recorded session. So instead, maybe I'll just leave you with an invitation to help us make Magento and Hyva the most comfortable home for as many merchants and developers as possible. And yeah, I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Vinai. Thanks very much for your presentation. I think the image of making this as comfortable and as lovely as a walk down the road is a really nice image. And to have more of it just works is something that I think we all like to see and experience. We actually have a question for you. Okay. Oh no, there's two already. So one is a bit more around tooling, I think. It's from Torben, who asked, wouldn't be Stack Overflow for Teams a good solution to build a knowledge base instead of a Slack channel with history, searchable, etc. as features?
Yep. Probably would. Yeah, actually, not a bad idea.
So I think we'll note this down under suggestions.
Yeah.
Torben, thanks for the suggestion. And there was a second question coming from Romain. What about the payment service providers? What is the progress about other modules except Pay One?
Okay, maybe Willem can give us an update there, because he's actually much more in communication with all the different partners in that regard. So once in a while, I'm like, oh, okay, oh, they're building this. Okay, that's cool. But I'm not in day-to-day communication there. I really appreciate him carrying the weight of all the communication a lot. So that's super cool.
Okay, I see that Willem is currently replying in the chat saying that multi-save pay is done and was very, very early. And Buckaroo is starting now, and Adyen is working on it. So as
those
you
would
see,
be for the React checkout, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess he'll clarify that in a second.
Because where else would you need payment extensions except for the checkout? So yeah, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, he's adding, Molly might be working on it too. Not entirely sure if that's in progress. And
yes, React, all right.
Yeah. And a third question coming in from Thomas. If there will be another tutorial video about compatibility, can it be about extending shopping carts GraphQL? The first compatibility module I worked on worked out well, but the cart, well.
Super cool extend idea. Yeah, let's do that. that can be a little standalone tutorial thing, how to add some fields there. If you're interested, I can also point you to some compatibility modules that use this. I just use this, for example, at the Magento Commerce gift card compatibility, right? To get the applied cards into the cart. So yeah, definitely good idea.
Cool. Well, thank you, audience. Thank you, Vinai. Actually, during your presentation, I added a nice little poll in the event part on the chat side. So the audience can now put in their vote. I asked them if they have worked on compatibility module before, and then we'll see whether our audience here has already experience with it or not.
I would like to also know, if possible.
Yeah, sure, I can add more questions.
If anybody here is not yet working with Hyva, like just came here to figure out what it's all about, or if it's maybe an option. And if so, then I'll jump on you and convince you to start building. No, I'm just I'm curious, because there are many great people in Slack that we interact with quite often. But if you're new here, welcome, and it would be super cool to get you on board too. And there was another question: why not add all Hyva training videos to Mage2 TV? That's a great question. I really feel a bit conflicted there. So Mage2 TV was great, and then way before Hyva actually came around, I lost a bit of faith in Magento for a while. Full disclosure. So I really struggled on a number of levels, actually, not just regarding faith, health issues also, and so on. So after some time now, I feel my faith is completely restored, I believe. And thanks to Hyva, actually, to a big part, it really makes such a big difference for me. And now I'm super busy and I don't really have time to work on Mage2 TV, even though I would like to. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm recording videos here, and what I would like to do at one point in time is migrate all the videos from Mage2 TV to Podia, I think. That is a platform for, video online courses. And then I don't have to deal with the platform anymore, because I'm still maintaining the platform to keep it running as good as I can. I built this thing myself to make it perfect. Now I got a half-built perfect thing. So yeah, I don't know. I just need more time. And yeah.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? Yeah.
It's okay. Well, I think many of us are very grateful of where you spend your time these days with the Hyva community and seeing the results of this. Sure. So I added your question to the poll asking people if they have worked with Hyva before. They can differentiate if they have already launched, or if they're working towards the launch right now, or if they haven't yet worked on it. All right.
All right. Thank you. I'm off then, right? All right.
Yeah, I think you're off. Okay. Well, that was a nice first talk for the evening. And now I think we are, kind of ready for the next speaker. Romain is our second speaker for today. I hope you can hear me now and ask for his permission to join me on stage. There is a couple of things I can tell you about Romain that I've learned with a quick web research. So, Romain, you like open source, cats, Hyva, and plants, but not necessarily in this order, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and well, more importantly for us today is that you are the head of ElasticSuite, and your title is also that you are the head of knowledge sharing. That is a pretty cool title. And yes. I'm very happy to see that you're acting on this today.
Yes, thank you for inviting me to this talk. I'm very excited about that.
Okay, I know from you that you definitely want to share your screen. So.
Yes, contrary to Vinai, I have to write some slides to feel more confident for my presentation. So yes, I will definitely share my screen.
Okay. Well, if you're ready, then I will say the stage is yours. Looking very much forward to your presentation, and yeah, enjoy audience as well. And remember to post your questions on the Q&A tab.
So hi everybody. Today we'll talk about making ElasticSuite compatible with Hyva, especially why we've made it and how we achieved it. First of all, we'll go through a brief history and presentation of ElasticSuite for those who doesn't know what it's all about. And then we'll go to the process we've went through to implement compatibility between ElasticSuite and Hyva. So first of all, a brief history of ElasticSuite. And here we have some KPIs about how it's important to have a good search engine on an e-commerce website. And it's more than important, it's really a must-have nowadays. And it has been a must-have for several years right now. Why is it important? It's important because search engine is often the first thing users interact with when they visit an e-commerce website. So if you're not powerful to deliver results, if you're not relevant to deliver results, users will go away and they will go to a competitor. So for merchants, it's mandatory to have a powerful search engine. And that's what we had in mind initially when we started building ElasticSuite, because it was a long time ago right now, because it was in 2013, probably, something like that, with Magento 1. And we found out that Magento, out of the box, didn't have that much things for search engine. And that was true for search, but also for merchandising. And it's still true today, even if Magento 2 has come out with some new features, but we didn't find it was enough powerful for merchants. So that's why we continued building ElasticSuite on top of Magento 2. And during all these years, we've built a lot of features inside ElasticSuite, which covers, of course, search engine, because it was the first thing we wanted to make. So we have everything that is needed to have a powerful and relevant search engine. We can configure relevance of any attributes. We can configure facets globally or per category. We can configure foodie search, phonetic search, detect stop words, configure synonyms, everything to have a very powerful and relevant search engine for Magento 2. But we also have merchandising capabilities with smart categories, the ability to drag and drop some products inside categories. We can define custom ranking, custom boosts to boost or bury products according to specific rules or context. You can preview nearly all features of ElasticSuite in the back office. We have also a better auto-completion box than legacy Magento. And everything that I just quoted is part of the ElasticSuite open source version, which is the legacy one that we published as soon as Magento 2 was released and that we still maintain. But as the time passed, we also came into the conclusion that we needed to have another version, which we call premium version, and which we sell to merchants and agencies, because we also need to have some money to be able to publish this extension and to maintain it. So that's why we went through this double license model. So in the premium version, we focused on personalized navigation by adding the ability to boost products based on behavioral data, such as product sales, conversion rate, product view. We can also boost products according to customer segments. We can create custom product push, like inspired by your visits, where we recommend some products to the user according to what they've already view or buy into the website. We can also recommend filters to the users when they are used to use them on particular categories, like recommending to filter on a particular shoe size on the shoe category, according to your past usage of the filter, and so on. And we are also we also have instant search in this premium version and some other cool features. So don't hesitate to have a look on our website to have a better view of what we are delivering into Magento. ElasticSuite was from the start a module that has been very popular in the Magento ecosystem. Nowadays, we have more than 1.5 million downloads on packages, and if I'm correct, we should be the most downloaded extension for Magento nowadays. So that's a module which is widely used because according to Wapalizer, we have more than 6,000 retailers worldwide actually using the module, and we have a various representation of business here because we have general retails, but we also have brand shops, and we even have some B2Bs and more specialized websites running it. So it can fit with every kind of merchant business needs, and that's probably because it's very powerful. So starting from that, why did we decide to embrace Hyvä Compatibility, even if we were already quite widely used in the Magento 2 ecosystem? First of all, we've always seen similarities between Hyva and us. I think we share the same philosophy because we made our product to improve Magento on areas that were neglected by Adobe. That's true for the search engine, the merchandising engine also, and for Hyva, that's true for the front end. That's part where Adobe didn't put that much of an effort in the product, and that's part that are really important for merchants and for agencies. So as open source contributors, that's areas we wanted to improve definitely because we thought it was helping us, even if it's also helping Adobe to sell Magento. And our philosophy is also to deliver open source product. That's true for Hyva and for ElasticSuite. Customers and agency can build projects on top of us. Everything is open. You can extend everything. You can override everything. So you can use just ElasticSuite as a boilerplate and then enrich it, build on top of it. And that's also true for Hyva, of course. And finally, both of us are widely trusted by the Magento community because ElasticSuite and Hyva are widely used by agencies, by integrators, by merchants themselves. And that's two products that are often talked about during meetups, conventions, and so on. So we've always seen Hyva as our cousins or something like that, extended family. And we've also seen recently a lot of popularity for Hyva, especially last year, where we've seen a lot of consulting companies that were recommending merchants to use Hyvä Themes. We've also seen merchants themselves coming to us and saying, we will build a new website on Hyva because we think that's the future and we want to build it also with you. And we came to the conclusion that building website with ElasticSuite and Hyva is slowly becoming the standard, or at least one strong standard in the Magento 2 community. So that made a lot of sense for us to be compatible and to be fully compatible and Hyva aware for ElasticSuite. So that's why we decided to make it. And then we had to start about making it possible. So now I will speak about how we made it and how easy it was. Despite the fact that we started as completely noobs for frontend. Because just to disclose a bit, in the ElasticSuite team, we are all Magento developers. And by Magento developers, I mean old-fashioned Magento developers, because most of us started with Magento 1. And when Magento 2 came out, we didn't enjoy working with Luma and Knockout. It was not a good experience for us. So we pretty stick to the knowledge we had back in the past. And that's pretty just about doing some stuff on jQuery and not that much. So we didn't have knowledge on modern front-end technologies like React or like just maybe vanilla JavaScript. We were completely noobs. And that's also due to the fact that ElasticSuite is a backend-oriented product. Most of our features are low-level PHP, Elasticsearch queries, SQL queries, and designing some back-office screens and cron jobs. So we also didn't have any front-end guy in the team. So we didn't have anyone that was comfortable with working on JavaScript, CSS, and even basic HTML. So first of all, we were afraid that it would be quite difficult for us to build compatibility with such modern theme like Hyva. But it appears that finally we were wrong because our first steps on Hyva were made very easy by the community. First of all, it was easy to know where to start because someone had already initiated a compatibility repository for ElasticSuite on the Hyva GitLab. So that was a good place to start. Then we've had some quick meetup with Vinai and Willem that pointed us to the documentation and so on. So that was very clear, and we were able to start very fast because documentation was great and good quality. So we were not lost. And the second point that was important in our journey was the fact that community is definitely great. As Vinay said previously, he answers himself on questions on Slack, and he definitely answered a lot of our questions. But the community also is very active on Slack, and we've had many of answers from other people involved in the Hyva Slack. So that's really a warm community and really friendly with newcomers like we were. So when we've seen that, we've become really confident about the fact that we would be able to deliver this compatibility module, even if we were just completely noob several weeks before. We've begun to learn new things during this journey, and first of all, Alpine.js was very easy for us to get into because the framework is light, but it allowed to make a lot of stuff, especially for what we needed to be done. and documentation has good quality. So we were able to build things with Alpine.js without worries. The same does apply for Tailwind CSS, which was also very comfortable to work. Some guys of the team told me that it reminded them the good old time of Bootstrap, which I can agree with. And by the way, it was also really easy and fast to achieve what we needed through CSS customization. But the most important thing, and I think that's the most important game changer for backend developer or noob developer for frontend, is the fact that we learned that we might not need jQuery. And definitely, we found out that a lot of stuff we used to build with jQuery didn't need it at all. And the team was comfortable by doing stuff with just vanilla JavaScript, and they learned a lot about that. So the conclusion we've made about that is, if we were able to deliver quickly without any prior knowledge of the technology, that indicates that this technology stack is probably the good one, because someone that doesn't know anything about can enter the project, read a bit of documentation, and start working, and is able to deliver quickly. So definitely, I think that this technology stack is probably the good one nowadays to build a custom theme. And finally, some words about extensibility especially on Magento side. So we are extension developers, so we wanted to build something on top of Magento and on top of Hyva. And finally, we've learned that it's like working on a legacy Magento because of all the magic that Vinai described previously. There are a lot of stuff that are just working out of the box. You still have templating, inheritance, or override system, so you will not get lost if you're familiar with the building Magento modules. And what we also find out that was really well done is the layouting, because you're able to build any custom layout in your module by prefixing it with Hyva. And this even allows you to have multiple store views, some with Hyvä Themes, some other without, which was really helpful for us, especially for testing purposes during the development. So once we've been familiar with all this logic of Hyva, we were able to deliver really fast, especially because Hyva respects decoupling between backend and frontend. So we were able to deliver backend logic in backend classes, and what we needed for frontend in templates and JavaScript files. So that was a great experience for us. And to conclude, here are some thoughts. If you're an extension vendor, you should definitely go into Hyva and make your extension compatible. Why? Because Hyva is definitely the future for Magento, so it's business critical for an extension vendor to embrace it. It's business critical for you, but also for the merchants you work with. You already know how to develop on Magento, so you won't get lost, and you will be able to build compatibility for your extensions very quickly. We were afraid at the beginning, but finally, it only took us several weeks to deliver the compatibility for ElasticSuite on Hyva. So that's easy to do, and you will be able to do it very quickly. So don't be afraid of joining the Hyva community and to start building compatibility for your extension, because the community and the Hyva team are actually providing great support through documentation, through Slack, and even through mail if you need them. So don't be afraid of making your extensions compatible with Hyva. It's definitely easy and a great pleasure to do. That's all for my presentation. If you have questions about ElasticSuite, you can reach out to us by mail or on LinkedIn or any social media. You can also visit our website if you want to know more about the product. And if you have some question right now, I'll be happy to answer it.
Thank you, Romain, very much for this presentation. I'm not seeing any questions here so far, but well, let's just go through a couple of points that you mentioned. Well, first of all, I think the sentiment that you let us in here is very clear, that it's been a very positive experience for you. And I really like this image of having this extended family of ElasticSuite and Hyvä Themes. That is really, really lovely to hear. Yeah, and I think for many of us, it's really reassuring that you said that it's turning into something like a standard to use Hyvä Themes as a front end, because I think for all of us who have already invested into, for example, compatibility modules or their own modules and making them compatible, that's really something that tells us that we are on the right path here. So that's nice to see that it's something that you share as well. There's one question I have. Well, you mentioned earlier that it's kind of like what your clients may already be requesting. Have you heard some feedback from your clients now that you have the Hyva compatibility? Like, for example, if they've already used it, if they noticed anything that's different, or just maybe a general kind of response from them?
No, actually, we didn't have such kind of feedbacks, because most of the merchants we talked with recently are planning to build on Hyva and ElasticSuite, or they just started to build. So I think it's a bit too early to have such kind of feedbacks, but that's something we will definitely want to share later.
Yeah, true. I sometimes forget that Hyva has already only been publicly available for about a year now. It's not that long.
Building a Magento project can be longer than 1 year sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Well, Romain says thanks for your presentation and also for the great extension. So lovely to see support for ElasticSuite here. All right. Oh, I think there's something going on. Oh yeah, some applause for you. Applause. That's always nice.
Thank
as well.
you. Thank you for inviting me as well.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here. I'm sure if there's any questions coming up later, people will find you in Hyva Slack and via your email here as well. And if there are no other questions, then well, you're either free to step off the stage, or something that was more of a spontaneous idea that Andreas and I had around this meetup was that, since we have a couple of minutes really and only 2 talks for this evening, if there are any other extension providers who would like to be on stage now, share video, audio, be recorded and later published, and just have a bit of an official discussion right now. So I have a quick scroll through attendees. Who do we have here that is working on extensions? And if there is any from you who thinks that applies to them, you're free to maybe also ask for joining the stage. The names that I recognize among the attendees are more from agency folks. Someone in the chat? Oh, yes. Okay. Well, otherwise, Roma, I'm very, very happy that we had you here to share your story. Thank you for the presentation. You would then be free to step off the stage, and we'll see you around in the chat and later on.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And with that, people, I would do the, well, kind of like an official closing. We're not done yet for today, so don't even think about leaving yet. But let me just organize my screens. All right. Well, first of all, thank you to the speakers. It's always lovely to have these kind of stories and insights from people really working on the stuff that we are all interested in hearing more. And to, well, in these days, to have people directly speaking to us, that's always great. Well, you might know that this Hyvä Meetup is kind of becoming like a regular thing now with 3 editions. We don't have a date yet for the next one. I'm sure we have one soon. And if you are interested in becoming a speaker for a Hyvä Meetup, feel free to send us an email or a message. And also, we would very much like to know if you actually have any plans of holding a talk about Hyva at one of the upcoming conferences in the e-commerce space. I know there's a bunch of Meet Magentos coming up in this year, online, in person, or hybrid. And if you have a talk planned that has kind of connection to Hyva, we would like to know about this so we can, well, share your announcements and tune in, listen to your talk. Okay, feel free to add those in the chat. Well, what else have we got? Well, I saw that some of you have already been very busy on Twitter, at least, sharing some screenshots from today. These are the, well, you probably know the Hyva Twitter handles and already follow them, but there's also those messages going out from IntegerNet. And yeah, you'll find us if you want to contact us on several Slacks around this Magento community, and also old school via email. So I'm thanking all of you in the audience who joined us today and shared their questions and messages. And oh, well, the poll. I think I'll shut down the polls now so we can see some results here. Okay, I see for the question, who has worked on Hyva before? There are more votes coming in, but it's currently at 30% who have worked with Hyva before and have already launched. There is 46% who have or currently working towards the launch, and then there's 23% who haven't worked with Hyva yet. The stress on that one. Okay, and the other question was if you've worked on compatibility modules before. So there's obviously a little less. So 17% have worked on several modules already. 23% have worked on at least one of them. And 58 have not worked on compatibility modules so far. Okay. Roman posted a link that Webalizer is already tracking Hyva. That's pretty cool. see. And now we actually have, well, time to just hang out. I think if we look at what has happened in the last couple of months and weeks and also days in the Magento community, I think there is some stuff to, well, to discuss. The very latest was the interpretation of an announcement that Magento 2 would be basically left for dead and instead would move on to Magento 3. Well, I think that is a topic we would like to discuss today in the groups. And yeah, so I would say we now officially close down the main session and move on to the Hangout corner. My team is very much invited to share the link to that in the chat so that you can all have a real quick switch over. Also, thank you all for listening, for tuning in today. Thank you, Andreas, for posting the link. And I thank Vinai and Romain for your talks. And yeah, I'll see you all in the Hangout corner in a second. Have fun. If I don't talk to you, enjoy your evening, your night, your morning, if that's applicable, your afternoon. And hope to see you all at the next Hyvä Meetup. We'll keep you informed when it's happening. And you're invited to attend and bring your colleague. So bye from me. See you in the Hangout.